Hello and welcome to this Reaxys webinar, Searching for Natural Products in Reaxys. My name is Christine Fleming and I'm a training manager here at Elsevier. This session is meant for those who have some familiarity with Reaxys, but may also be of interest to others. I will talk a little bit about the sources of our information on natural products, and then I'd like to explain the type of natural product information that is indexed, and I'll spend most of the session showing you different ways to find the information with a live demo. I've picked out some of the natural product journals that we use and displayed them on this slide. So you can see that we use journals like the Journal of Natural Products, NPR, and Planta Medica, to name a few. Of course, natural product information can also be found in other types of journals like Tetrahedron, Analytical Chemistry, and in reviews like the Chemistry of Natural Products, in conference papers, and of course in patents. And Reaxys has all of these. In fact, the information in Reaxys comes from over 16,000 different periodicals. There are over 219,000 substances in Reaxys with natural product information. Compounds may be isolated from animals, marine life, plants, bacteria, as well as other categories. And entries can contain information like skin secretions from a type of frog found in Madagascar. For plants, it may contain information on the part of the plant that was used, like stems, leaves, fruit, seeds, or bark. The genus and species is often given, as seen in this starfish example, as well as the location where the sample was obtained. This one even shows the exact latitude and longitude that the sediment was collected in the ocean. And the citation for each is always given. You can get to the information several different ways: by natural product name, substance name, structure search, literature search, or bioactivity search. Let's open Reaxys. I will be using Reaxys with the Reaxys Medicinal Chemistry component for this demo. This combined database contains the same number of compounds as regular Reaxys, but also contains information on targets, assays, biological effects, and so forth, and also has some additional functionality. The Start page offers various options to begin your search. Here's the Natural Products query theme, which opens the Natural Products search form. Before we start looking at any scenarios, I'd like to give you some information on the available data for substances that can be isolated from natural products. Checking this box will retrieve all substances with natural product information. You can see that there are over 220,000 substances. The first ones look like relatively simple molecules, but there are also more complex ones, like this one from the stevia plant. And by looking at the filters, you can see that about 3/4 of them have NMR data and other analytical data. And when you look at the effects, you see a breakdown of the bioactivity data. By the way, you may have noticed that these two tabs are grayed out. When you do a substance search in Reaxys, you are also searching PubChem and eMolecules. These grayed out tabs do not mean that PubChem and eMolecules has no information for these substances. These tabs will always be grayed out unless your query included a structure. Then the search will encompass all three sources. However, you can get to all of this additional data by looking for the red box under a substance. For example, there is additional data for this substance in PubChem and eMolecules. Typically, when you use this checkbox, you will be using it in conjunction with a structure. Xanthones are a class of compounds that can be found in some plants, such as the mangosteen. By adding the xanthone structure to the query, I can limit my results to naturally occurring xanthones. This results in over 1,600 substances. The second one is mangosteen, derived from the mangosteen. Here are 56 instances where mangosteen was isolated from various parts of the plant, the stem bark, fruit peel, and seed casings, for example. This substance has some interesting activity against Alzheimer's disease, according to this article. What else is known about the bioactivity of this compound? In Reaxys medicinal chemistry, the data is arranged in these categories. And you can also see a profile of this substance using the heat map. So first I'll limit the list to this substance only. And when you click on the heat map tab, you get an overview, like known targets and color-coded boxes that let you see where the compound was most active. This is showing pretty good activity associated with several cytochrome P450 targets and some good activity related to amyloid beta targets. So this compound was found in the Garcinia mangostana plant. There are at least 50 species of Garcinia, so you may want to include the genus and the species in your query. Substances isolated from Garcinia bracteata have been reported to have some interesting activity against some cancer cell lines. You can find all of the compounds that have been isolated from this plant by using the Isolation from Natural Product field. There are over 1,000 substances if you just use the term Garcinia. If you just add the species name on there, Reaxys will look for those two words within one substance record, and you may get some false positives. Let me show you that. So here you can see that both words are coming up, Garcinia and bracteata, but they are not on the same line within the substance record. So let's go back to the query page. Okay, so that resulted in 46 hits. So instead you would have to use the Boolean operator next to ensure the correct results. And I'll just type that in here and run the search. So this time we get 39 hits. Now every search field in Reaxys has a link to its index. This makes it easier to find alternate spellings of some words, including misspellings. The index contains only single words, so it will not contain our genus and species term. But I can use the index by typing in the word and then selecting anything that might be an alternate spelling, like these three, and then click Transfer. The semicolon is interpreted as OR, so Reaxys will retrieve all of them. But you would still want to add the next and the species name, bracteata. In order for this to work, you also need to add parentheses. In fact, if you are uncertain of the spelling for bracteata, just truncate using an asterisk as a wildcard. This results in 39 substances. Now I can also use something called the analysis view and just take a quick look here at the targets associated with these 39 substances. When viewing a list of substances, you might come across a substance of interest. This one, for example. Let's say that you're interested in this one, but this one doesn't have any activity data associated with it. So maybe looking at similar substances could provide additional insight. Just click the gray box under the structure and select Copy Structure to Query. Then perform a similarity search. Choose Medium. This results in 26 substances. The associated targets are listed in the analysis view, and so we can just quickly look that over. And here we see a substance associated with HIV-1 protease, so this one might be of interest. And I'll just click here and limit the list to that substance, and then just take a look at the substance. So since our topic today is searching for natural products, I started the demo with the natural product form. You are certainly not limited to the natural product form, though. Ask Reaxys will help you find natural product information too. Hydroxycitric acid is the substance found in Garcinia cambogia that has been marketed in some products claiming to aid in weight loss. The easiest way to find information on this substance is to use Ask Reaxys. So I'll just type it in here. This retrieves 98 substances. including 89 citations, 1 target, and various bioactivity data. Glancing at the effects in the analysis view, you can see various bioactivities like weight loss, anti-inflammatory, and mutagenic. And then clicking on the heat map shows an overview of the effects and their related structures. So this is set on targets right now, and there seems to only be one target associated with these substances. So let's change it to effects. Okay, so what we just did was a substance search using Ask Reaxys. Let's say, however, that you wanted to use Ask Reaxys to do a citation search. Well, you can change the context right here in the results page without even going back to the query page. And just look under the breadcrumbs where it says Show Query. And then under this one, just click on Show Query and it'll show you that you will now be searching in titles, abstracts, and keywords. So when we first did this search in the context of substances, we retrieved 89 citations associated with those substances. Now we're going to do it in the citations context. And you can see now that you retrieve over 400 citations. And speaking of literature searching, there are several ways to do a literature search in Reaxys. Ask Reaxys is one way. You can also use the literature search form. This contains bibliographic fields like journal title and publication year, but you can add more fields if you'd like by clicking the Add Remove Fields link. The Citation Basic Index field is used for topic searches, similar to the way that you would use Ask Reaxys. The difference is that the Citation Basic Index allows for more complex searches using data operators and wildcards. When you use this citation field, you are searching titles, abstracts, and keywords from 48 million records. Includes keywords from Embase, Compendex, GeoBase, and Medline. Many records also include substances, reactions, properties, and bioactivities. Research on natural products from starfish and other forms of marine life have increased greatly over the past 30 years, as you can see from the numbers of articles per year that I have here on the slide. And there has been some interesting bioactivity results, like this steroid compound with apoptotic effects on cancer cells, and these pyrone compounds, cytotoxic to several cancer cell lines, and also these glycosides with activity against leukemia cells. Now these can all be found by using Ask Reaxys or by using the isolation from natural product field, or the Citation Basic Index field. So let's say you are interested in creating a spreadsheet of the most active compounds isolated from a natural product, such as starfish. Just search in the isolation from natural product field for starfish. This results in over 500 substances. I'll switch to heat map view. And then to get the most active substances, I'm going to filter by px value. The px value is a calculation based on activity and affinity values, and this lets you compare data from different sources. And then when I come down here, I can just slide this over to about 4.5. The legend for the color coding is here. Colors closer to red have the highest values. And you can view the structures here, but I'd like to view the structures in grid view, so I'll click here. I want to exclude the ones I'm not interested in, and in this case they are the common ones that are located at the top of the list with the most references. So just check the boxes and select Exclude. Switch to Substances Report view, click Output, select Parameters. I want Excel and I want to select the bioactivity data. And here are the other choices. And you will end up with a spreadsheet showing structures and activity. Questions from the audience. How often is the data updated? It is updated about every 3 weeks. You can see when the latest update was by clicking on the About Reaxys page. How do you access the heat map? The heat map is a component of the Reaxys Medicinal Chemistry Database, also called RMC. RMC can be licensed by itself or in combination with regular Reaxys. RMC by itself does not contain reaction information or some property data. Reaxys by itself does not contain the heat map or some of the detailed bioactivity data. The two combined contain everything. When you do a search, the heat map will be one of the tabs in the results. Can I batch export molecules as PDB or some other visual molecular dynamics file format? While not as PDB, here's an example for Ritalin. The available formats are shown in the export box. You can choose RD file or SD file. And for comparison, here's the SD file for ethane. Is it possible to recover past searches once we have logged out? I'm afraid not, but you can save your searches from the history page. How could I obtain a complete list of the natural occurring bis-indole alkaloids? Let me just say that I tried to find out approximately how many of these are in existence so I could compare it to what is in Reaxys, and as far as I can tell, there are at least 200 in existence. Reaxys retrieves about 800, so with the following search, you would probably have to do some filtering depending on what you want. I'd start with 2 indoles. Select Substructure and select Keep Fragments Together. Then check the box for Natural Products Exists. And here are the results. One suggestion would be to narrow the list down by structure if need be, like by Richter classification or by ring classification. How do I get the publication included with the compound of interest? The citations that are included in a substance record correspond to the individual data points included in the record. So for a single substance, here are the data with their citations, and the complete list of citations can be found by clicking the Citations tab. You can export the list from the Citations tab into various formats, including reference management systems. Should I open Reaxys from the university, or can information be accessed from anywhere? Most universities have IP access, but there should be a way to access it off campus. I will send you an email with more information. Is the purity of the compound reported? There is purity information for some compounds. During the webinar yesterday, I incorrectly said that there wasn't a data field for purity data, so I'll show you what we do have. I'll do a search for all natural products with data in the purification field. First, I'll add the fields to the form. I'll open the index to give you an idea of what to expect. So I'll search for natural products with purification information. And I'll jump to the end of the list. Sometimes there's more interesting stuff at the end. And here's what it says. Of course, doing a regular literature topic search or looking at the analytical data for a substance will also provide information. Could you re-explain the filtration part with the axis? I think this question is about the heat map. The heat map uses something called px values. Since we extract data from different assay types and with different parameters, IC50s, KIs, different species and cell lines, there needed to be a way to compare the activity values and target affinity. So a calculation is done on the data, and that becomes the px value. Here's an example. I'm searching for all compounds with data on AKT targets. I'll just query the target name field for AKT1 and AKT2. And here's the heat map. The colors are showing which compounds are the most active based on this legend. The number in each box is the px value. This number will link to the actual data point that it is based on. These values can be sorted and selected. So from this heat map, I've taken the highest and lowest value for the AKT1 target and put it on a slide so you can see the actual values. Now these have one reported instance of this assay. If there were many instances, so if it looked more like this, then each of these would have a calculated px value, and you could choose whether you'd like to see the maximum, minimum, median, or average px value. In summary, the px values are calculated from the data so that you can better compare biological results across publications and bioassays, and also use third-party tools like Spotfire and Pipeline Pilot through exporting. And that's it for today. Thank you for attending, and thank you for all your questions. We hope to see you again sometime. Goodbye.